I can show you. I wonder if I can turn this around. Let me see if that does it. Can you turn? Oh, there it is. Blue skies. It's beautiful. This is my lychee tree in front of my house that has no lychees. What can you do? I'm supposed to try to fertilize it and stuff like that. Who has time? But I do love me some fruit, so, oh my God. Fresh air. I've been inside. I'm in Miami, as you may or may not know, and weather's gorgeous. Lots of vitamin D. And my kids are doing school from home this week, so it's been interesting. I'm stepping outside for a second, been on the computer, working all day, and it's a crazy time right now. We are, trying to be careful, but as healthcare providers, we know this. We do this day in and day out. We wash our hands. We're very, mindful about being sanitary. And normally, in my clinic, we clean and stuff like that, but we don't necessarily show people that we clean. Like we try not to do it and spray shit around them. But now we're like, yeah, let's show them that we are clean, that we wash our hands, that we use gloves and stuff like that. So we're just being a lot more mindful. But I'm on here just to answer some questions. I know I posted a little bit late, so I'm probably not going to get the questions, but I'll probably get them afterwards. But I just wanted to come on at least and, just share with you some of the stuff that we're doing in my clinic. We're trying to, I know that everyone's a little different. I'm getting feedback from different people saying that their clinics are closed or they're much slower. And, this is a time where, we got to hunker down and we've got to think a little differently, right? So I wrote an email out just the other day, just talking about having a strong mindset. It's really important because instead of freaking out, we have the ability to, show up just a little bit differently. And what it means to have a strong mindset is instead of freaking out like everyone else is freaking out, what can we do to create opportunities for ourselves in a difficult time? Because everything difficult usually doesn't last, right? This too shall pass, I always say. So, instead of, freaking out and stuff like that, it is a serious situation, but there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can control. And basically, one of the things that you want to do is, control the things you can control. Control, you know, the environment that you're in, control the negative thinking that you have, think more positively. Someone's saying our clinic is limiting patients, those post-op and those with extreme pain. Yeah, I mean, you have to be careful within the ramifications or the guidelines that your city has or your clinic has. We're not a very high volume clinic, so we don't have a ton of people just sitting around waiting. A very low volume type of clinic, so we are still helping the people who are willing to come in, who need to come in. Yeah, we do have, a lot of post-surgical patients that do need to come in. So we don't want to limit them. And then, yeah, we have people we work with people who aren't necessarily in extreme pains, but they care about their health and they want to be active, and we're not going to deny them an ability to come in and be able to stay active, as long as you're outside enjoying some beautiful weather and, doing things you love, you still can do that. So we don't want to stop them from doing that if they were kind of had a plan and on target to stay more active and making sure that they avoid having to take pills and stuff like that. So, we're getting creative in terms of how we schedule people, spacing them out a certain way, making sure that they're not ill, we're not ill, things like that, things that we have control over. We have control over our mindset, how can we communicate with people a little bit more clearly, how can we assure them that that we're doing everything, they're going to do everything, and just like have a certain sense of peace. That's all we can do. And then, with my students and my staff too, like, yeah, there's going to be some downtime, right? How do you use your downtime best, right? So it's not just sitting here and watching more of the same bad news. You know, one of my therapists, she's sitting and studying for her certified therapy board exam along with all the students that I have in my program that is sitting. So what do you need to do to maximize the time that you have, plan out, there's going to be certain times where you're sitting and studying that you already have planned, but like, let's say you have an extra time, extra slot because someone didn't show up in your schedule. What can you do in the meantime to go over your cases, to go over certain areas that now you have extra time for? So I think that there's, even in, not so great times, there's opportunities to make the best of it. I know that people are very concerned about going and doing telehealth type of stuff, and there's a lot of talk about that in the therapy community in terms of what you can do. And I think that it's important to then look into what are the platforms in which you can do. Yeah, a lot of, some people don't, it's not their favorite thing, but this doesn't mean it's not doable. You can learn what are your techniques that you use. We have a particular one that we use in my clinic, and we test, we do the exercise and then we retest and stuff like that. There's a lot of different techniques. No matter what, there's different ways in which we can communicate and present our expertise, to help our patients. And it doesn't have to be like all hands-on. I mean, granted, if we want to, that's what we love to do, but there's going to be times when, we can't really do that 100% of the time, and we can get back to that eventually. But if you find yourself with a little bit extra time, do a little research, think about how you can show up and be there for your patients. And if you work for somebody, how can you show up and be there for your bosses and for them? Like, I so appreciate my team right now. They're so good. They're showing up for me. They're showing up for themselves. They're showing up for their patients. And at no point are they saying, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do that. Or, oh, that's not how we normally do it. So that kind of mindset's really, really important in difficult times like this, because that's going to show you, what you have in you to do even more when times are really good, So I think that's all I have for today. I didn't really have too many clinical questions coming in. I think I've been getting a lot more questions like, how do I get a job? How do I keep that job? How to keep my my field's work placement? That's a big concern. It's not a joke. It's a big concern, and I have put out some videos up on YouTube for you guys. I think one of like the number one tips for a field's work interview, which now people are like, oh my God, I can't, my field work placement's getting canceled. And I think, again, how do you show up for those people? What do you say to them? If you only have a few weeks left, what can you do to make up that time, to show them that you're invested, that you're interested, that you want to be an occupational therapist? Because if you've been doing really, really well, maybe it's not so much the hours that you might need to be concerned with, but showing a certain amount of proficiency that when you come out, you know how to do an evaluation, you know how to do a treatment, you know how to write some goals and stuff like that. And that doesn't matter what area you're in. It doesn't matter what setting you're in. Those are basic skills that you need to show up and be able to do. And so if you're on your last leg, what are you going to do to cross that line? What are you going to do to show them that you're proficient to be able to come out and act as an occupational therapist? They might not have any choice, but if you communicate in a certain way that's effective, that can be convincing, that can show that you're open-minded to do extra things that would maybe take you across the line, maybe your CI would be compelled to let you finish your hours in a more creative way. And if you are, seeing that your hours are kind of maybe potentially getting limited, How could you talk to your boss? How could you show up for them? What can you do to add value to what you're doing there? Because we're all going through tough times, and you know, the support goes both ways. Support goes both ways. Your boss can support you, and you can support your boss. And I think that is how we're going to get through some of these tough times. So I know that since I posted stuff late, that I didn't get too many clinical questions. I was trying to look back to see. I know there's a bunch, but I might do another video tomorrow. We're about to launch Orthosis 101 at the end of the week, so I might show up on video later on this week and kind of just talk to you a little bit about the importance of creating orthosis and how the 2 patterns that I teach in that you can then take and make like almost 2 to 3 other orthoses. And when it comes to creating orthosis, it's not so much that, there is a certain financial benefit from it, right? You create it, there's a certain skill, you bill it a certain way, you charge a certain way. It does make a certain amount of money. But the most important thing is, like, when you have certain skills in creating custom fitted orthoses, you can help your patients better, and you have an increased likelihood that that patient is going to stay with you because you are somebody who can create things for them so that they can get better. I just, sometimes I have to create really creative little ones because we have such complex patients that you just can't do like one. Sometimes you have to do like, I essentially created a wrist support orthosis with a kind of like an anti-claw component to it, but I needed it to be a connected piece. I've done it before. I've done it for somebody who had a C4, C3, C4 quadriplegic patient that had a certain type of hand positioning deformity, and to be able to help him use it more functionally because he had very strong tone, I had to be really creative with them with the splint that I made. So I have somebody who is a whole different orthopedic type of patient, but he needed something really similar. So when you learn 1 to 2 patterns, especially the wrist support splint, the way I teach it, and the thumb spica orthosis, the way I teach it, you can take those 2 and you can be able to create like a couple of other ones just from learning that pattern, just from being comfortable in making those types of orthoses. You can turn around and make a few more. It doesn't have to just be only that. You can take that knowledge and spin it and get even more creative. So thanks everyone for joining me today. I hope that it helps you to stay positive, think more positive, and see how you can add more value to the people that are around you. And I'll show up later on this week and we'll do some splinting stuff together. All right? Peace. Stay healthy.